our C-SPAN cameras out at the World War II Memorial. Special events going on there later today, and you can see that on C-SPAN as we continue our discussion on veterans issues on this Veterans Day with John Vick. He's with Concerned Veterans for America. He serves as their executive director. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Before we talk about your organization specifically, outline your military career and how it informs what you do today.
Yeah, it's been a long and weird one. I enlisted in the Marine Corps in 2003, which doesn't feel that long ago. Became a field radio operator, put off college for a little bit, ended up serving in Iraq. After Iraq, got pretty much bounced directly into the Naval Academy system, ended up commissioning as a Navy officer, and that coincided with the 2011 budget sequestration and a big reduction in force. So I was going to go fly planes. Ended up never getting to even sit in a Cessna. Ended up moving up to Washington, D.C. I'm still in the Navy Reserve now as an intelligence officer, but that's how I ended up in D.C. working for the House Veterans Affairs Committee, and 10 years later doing this.
Politically, because your organization does deal with politics, what do you think is of most importance to veterans these days, and particularly with the shutdown going on?
Well, I'd say first, for a day like Veterans Day, reach out to the veterans that you know. If you're a veteran, reach out to your friends. If you know a veteran, reach out. Not everybody has the same, support system, so I think that's really, really critical. I think too, especially given the shutdown and sort of the politics of chaos, I think it's important to take a day like today and view veterans, view the military as something that we can unify around.
Elaborate on that.
Yeah, so, regardless of your politics, regardless of your background, right? Veterans are united, bound by service and fraternity. So I think that focusing on that on a day like today helps us maybe put some of the bitterness of politics aside.
Given the organization that you're with, how do you think the shutdown has treated veterans, particularly with the aspect of pay, or the question there, with the aspect of service at the VA? How do you think that has been covered during this past 40 days or so?
Well, so, some things, fortunately, were not impacted by the shutdown, like disability payments, things like that. But the VA is enormous. It's a Leviathan organization, and stuff just breaks all the time, right? One of the examples that a friend of mine told me about was related to receiving GI Bill benefits for school. The housing allowance that comes with that enables you to live, in that college town. There was some glitch. They didn't get their payments, and the people that would solve the glitch were furloughed by the shutdown. So even when the resources are technically there, when you have this enormous bureaucratic entity going 2, 3, 4 weeks without having everybody on board working, it manifests itself in a lot of different ways.
Do you think with the shutdown seemingly resolving itself, what's your hope as far as veterans are concerned when it comes to how they've been affected?
Well, foremost, if whoever was impacted by a glitch here or there, or missed a payment, or missed counseling, right? Making sure that we backtrack and take care of those folks that were impacted in, any number of ways.
Talk about your organization. Specifically, what is it designed for? What does it do?
Yeah, so CVA, Concerned Veterans for America, very unique. We're the only national grassroots organization that is custom built to amplify veterans' voices across every aspect of American governance. So we're not a VSO like VFW or the American Legion.
And a VSO is?
A Veteran Service Organization.
Okay.
Yeah. And specifically, we're Concerned Veterans for America because we talk about everything, right? So whenever I'm talking to a group of vets or a group of legislators, I always say I never went overseas to fight for like a disability benefit or a veteran benefit. You go overseas, you join the military to fight for the American way of life. You care about your country. And so when veterans come home from their service, they quite literally have skin in the game. They've sacrificed, their family have sacrificed. So whether it's veterans issues or the economy or foreign policy, we believe that veterans have a unique and compelling voice on all issues that matter to all Americans.
Your organization used to be headed by Pete Hegseth.
True, yes.
Do you have sway with him now, or at least at the DOD because of your affiliation?
No, absolutely not. But he's welcome to call me anytime.
When it comes to point of view, political point of view, what political point of view would your organization take?
I'd say we're center right. We're generally conservative, especially on things like economic issues. Foreign policy, we're very focused on things like realism and restraint in our the way that we conduct American policy overseas, the way that we use our military. We believe very strongly in, and it's, I think people get it even if you're not a veteran, even if you're not in the military, but like, what's your favorite kind of mission? It's one where there's a clear end state, a clear objective, you know what you need to do, you want to go do it, you want to be successful, and then you want to come home. So very much trying to, especially those of us that fought in Iraq, deployed to Afghanistan or Africa. I've been to Africa twice too. Mm-hmm. It's very demoralizing to not know what your end state is on that mission, to have open-ended obligations overseas. So the crux of when we talk about things like realism and restraint and how we use our military, focusing on it as one lever of national power, right? We should be great at diplomacy too, or informational, or military, of course, and then economic. And in the War College, we call this DIME, D-I-M-E. And so if you're the greatest, most powerful country in the world, you should be able to leverage your economy, leverage your diplomacy, and then, of course, your military also when you have to, but not going to the most immediate point and shoot option.
This is John Vick of Concerned Veterans for America joining us. And if you have questions for him on this Veterans Day, on veterans issues, 202-748-8000 for Democrats, Republicans, 202-748-8001, and Independents, 202-748-8002. And if you are a veteran, active or former military, and you want to give us your thoughts too, you can call us at 202-748-8003. To that last, Vic, there is a current debate on Capitol Hill and elsewhere about efforts in the Caribbean dealing with specific ships suspected of narco-terrorism, exploding them, blowing them up. What do you think about that overall as a mission, and does it fall into your concerns that you just listed?
Sure, yeah. Well, I mean, foremost, I think that it's critical to get Congress in the conversation about how we use our military. One of the most encouraging things that's currently, as part of the 2026 NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, is repealing outdated war powers from like 1991 and 2002 to take on Saddam Hussein. Those war powers just staying on the books, you end up having sort of a legal trickle-down effects where you can use the military in ways that really Congress should be more a part of. It's one of the reasons why I'm so vocal about we need to get this shutdown over, right? Because until the shutdown's over, nothing that Congress would normally be able to attack on and to engage on is going to happen. So I do think it's concerning. Anytime you have plans for things we've heard about with Venezuela, with Mexico, but this is also a function of diplomacy too, right? We've seen President Trump do this in a number of different ways. Looking at Mexico, for instance, more than half of overdose deaths in the United States come from Mexican fentanyl, right? But we've also seen the Mexican government engage on using its military to take down fentanyl-producing facilities, not slowing down, or I should say, increasing the pace of extradition for U.S. prosecution for fentanyl dealers. So that's also one response to some of the tough rhetoric I think we've seen out of the administration.
When it comes then to your philosophy and your organization's philosophy of restraint, how does that fit the picture then, how the administration tackles these things?
Yeah, well, I think that, I wouldn't call it saber rattling necessarily, mm-hmm. but I think having that tough rhetoric on how the United States can use its military gets results as well. We saw this earlier this year, early in the first part of the second Trump administration, where there was tough talk about how we engage with NATO, right? And almost immediately you saw European allies that have always been capable of being capable responding with, I think it was an 800 billion euro Rearm Europe investment. So, at the end of the day, I don't think that the United States wants to leave NATO. We just want a more equitable partnership with our NATO allies. And we've seen results on that as well.
Let's hear from Frank. This is Frank in Los Angeles, a veteran. You're on with John Vick of Concerned Veterans for America. Frank, good morning. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi.
Morning, Frank.
I'm 100% disabled here, and I've been trying to get my stuff done at the VA. It's impossible, absolutely impossible. I'm homebound. I'm in pain all the time, and I got somebody to take me up to get an exam. And they examined me, and they did everything, and and they put my whole condition in there and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, go ahead.
And what?
Go ahead, Frank. Go ahead and finish your thought.
Oh, and then they call you and they want me to go to the clinic up, and I stopped going to one of their clinics. I don't have any trust or confidence in the VA clinic. They give you the stuff like that, and they don't want to write. And write to take care. I can't stay on the phone. I can't get out of bed. I'm all by myself. So, and that's my problem there. And if I can get off the line and talk to somebody there, I can give them my address and everything, and they can see what they can do.
All right, Frank, we'll let our guest respond to what you brought to the table.
Yeah, well, so I think that this is one of the things that CVA cares a lot about too, which is how you choose to take care of yourself. I would say to Frank specifically, if you're not getting good results from the VA, reach out to one of those local VSOs like American Legion, like VFW. They oftentimes have folks that can help navigate the VA, which is a Leviathan bureaucracy. But beyond just that, one of the pieces of legislation that I feel very strongly about that is currently making its way through Congress is called the Veterans Access Act, which basically seeks to codify community care access standards, which is to say, if the VA is not working for you as a veteran for your mental health, physical health, whatever, you should be able to go down the street to that clinic that your spouse uses, your family uses. Fundamentally, I think that how you choose to take care of yourself, your ability to choose how you take care of yourself, is a function of human dignity. And so when we see things like the Veterans Access Act, which is not full choice, but does have pilot programs for things like mental health or substance abuse, shortening the distance between a healthcare crisis and treatment is a critical piece of that.
What do you think of the management of the VA under Doug Collins so far?
Yeah, no, I've gotten to meet Secretary Collins before. I think that a lot of the changes that we've seen in the federal government that are based around sort of shaking things up, I think is very important. Certainly, my heart goes out for some of the VA staff that have lost their jobs, but also, I think it's very important to take sort of a critical examination of what the VA looks like and what it's looked like historically. Massive increases in budgets without a discernible difference in healthcare outcomes for veterans. As a country, we've always said we're willing to spend the dollars. The VA is the second biggest pot of money after defense, right? Mm-hmm. But skyrocketing costs for things like overhead, throwing more money at problems when, just like talking to Frank, it doesn't always necessarily equate to better healthcare outcomes. I think we need to be more creative about how we think about getting services to veterans, whether it's healthcare, whether it's especially mental health care, where they get it, how they get it. Streamlining that service delivery, I think, is critical. And so it's encouraging to see VA trying new things.
The Secretary has talked about cuts in staffing in various parts of the VA. To what degree do you think that affects the end user?
It depends on where you cut, right? If you're talking about overhead, general administration, things like that, redundancies on redundancies for different ways to push paper in different directions, I don't think that does anything for veterans. I think that finding, again, understanding that we're willing to spend the dollars to take care of vets, finding the best way to streamline those dollars to veterans getting the things they need. Again, I think especially as a post-9/11 veteran, when we talk about mental health care, and even if you've never been in the military, everybody knows someone that's dealt with mental health or substance abuse. Oftentimes, the window to get help for things like that is, maybe a weekend, maybe a day or two. Some VA hospitals, it takes, 2 months to get an appointment for mental health care. That's why there's been so much suicide. I think we're at 7,000 killed in action deaths in the post-9/11 wars, but we've lost 10 times that number to suicide, sometimes in a VA parking lot. So things like that, where we're talking about just because we've done things a certain way to take care of vets in the past, with especially big VA hospitals, doesn't necessarily mean that's the best thing for veterans now.
Democrats Line, this is from New York. Margarita, for our guest John Vick, good morning.
Hi, good morning. I'm very special today because I'm off today. I just want to make a comment. I'm listening to the gentleman that spoke before. My son is in the Coast Guard. He's been in the Coast Guard over 20 years. I have a grandson in the Marines, living in New York City, seeing the veterans, just people in general. Right now with the crisis, with the SNAP program, I live in a community of 55 and older, where some of my neighbors right now don't know where they're getting their next meal. I think the Democrats and the Republicans and whoever else have to get their act together, because this is a real bad crisis, and it's affecting everybody. I work with children in schools also. Their parents are trying to figure out where they're going to get their next meal. They need to stop, get the program together, so people could get back to their jobs and just stop what's going on. Democrat, Republicans, the SNAP program doesn't say this is just for Republicans or this is just for Democrats. This is for everybody. The veterans, I see them. My daughter works in the city. We see people in the streets all over. It's very, very sad, and I hope that the government will get their act together. Republican, I don't care who you are. When you go to the SNAP program, it doesn't say, I'm a Democrat, so I'm not going to feed my children, or I'm a Republican. Everybody's the same. So please, if you can, very strong. My son, like I said, he's in the military, Coast Guard, Cape May.
Okay, got you. Thank you, Margarita. We'll let our guests respond.
Well, Margarita, thank you for your family's service, foremost. And, regarding SNAP and stuff like that, I would just say the shutdown has impacted a lot of families in a lot of different ways. We've also seen this impact, like the military DoD school system. Military bases have childcare, right? And just like most Americans, I think almost half of military families live paycheck to paycheck. Critical difference being that when you're moving every 2 years, you're probably not living near family. So when stuff like this happens and your childcare situation is impacted, or your food security situation is impacted, missing paychecks, it's not just the military folks that we're worried about, it's also all of the DoD civilians that let this machine run, right? And so, especially if you're a single parent in the military wondering, what's going to happen when your kid's aftercare program gets shut down, something like that. There's countless ways the shutdown's impacted folks.
The next pay period for the military, I believe, is the 15th of this month. What's your level of confidence is that going to be met?
I am cautiously optimistic, but it's this is already the longest shutdown in our country's history. I would also say the only shutdown in living memory that's impacted the military like this. If we look at the previous record, I think it was 2018 to 19. The military was funded separately, so you didn't have to go through this. It was very discouraging when the military appropriations bill went up, I think a week and a half ago, and that was shut down as well. Could have taken this off the table, but it's hard, I think very hard for military people not to feel like pawns when that specific vote happens, and that also fails.
Why do you think the carve out for them didn't happen this time around?
I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty shocked. If I'm being cynical about it, I think it made it more painful. It made the shutdown more painful. And so you basically, this is the politics of chaos. I don't think it came down to necessarily just SNAP benefits or Obamacare credits or whatever you want to say. But I think that there was people politically invested in making the shutdown hurt.
Is that a political party like a Democrat, Republican? Is that the president himself? Blame all the way around? Who would you cast that on?
I think I would cast it on Democrats in the Senate.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, one of the things that strikes me is all of the talk of a clean CR, clean continuing resolution. This is literally the Biden budget. It's the same kind of CR that both parties voted on, I think, back in March and agreed to. When it comes down to just continuing the status quo, it's not even like a Republican thing, but specifically Democrats, pump the brakes on this. I think that they do that because they're trying to create a pain point, and the military got caught up in that as well.
Doyle is next, and Doyle is from Chattanooga, Tennessee, former military. Hello, go ahead.
How you doing?
Go ahead.
Delete me. I'm calling about misuse of the military. Supposed to be making us look strong, but making us look weak. We have never been. I'm a Vietnam era veteran. I was in the Navy, and I was on a destroyer. You don't need an aircraft carrier, a submarine, 3 destroyers to take care of Venezuela. You could set 1 destroyer out there, and I was on a destroyer in NATO, a U.S. destroyer in NATO in '64. That's been a long time. And I know how powerful we are, that always have been powerful. Every year to now, we look weak. We don't look strong as we.
Frank, why do you think, Doyle, why do you think the military looks weak now?
You don't need to set an aircraft carrier, 3 destroyers, or a helicopter to Venezuela. If you could set 1 destroyer out there and do anything they want to do. They can capture them both easy. They got machine guns, they got phalanx, they got missiles, and Venezuela don't have that kind of weapon. Period.
Okay, Doyle in Chattanooga, he goes back to Venezuela. He says all that projection makes the military look weak.
I don't think it makes us look weak. I think certainly, one of the perks of having, the world's strongest Navy is force projection, right? And sometimes just parking ships out there can make a statement.
George is in Kentucky, and George joins us on our line for veterans. George, good morning.
Good morning. Yes, I'm 100% full permanent veteran. I served 6 years in the Air Force. 30 years I've been on full and permanent disability. I have 2 questions. All us veterans want to know. Question number 1, why is our veteran disability counted as compensation? Our compensation is counted as income. It disqualifies us from all kinds of help and aid that we could receive if it was set back to compensation. Question number 2, why is the VA more worried about liability than the care of veterans? They get to certain levels of care where it requires certain pain medications or certain nerve medications, and it's more worried about their liability than actually helping the veteran. That's what we would really like to know. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I'm not an expert on the compensation piece. I would direct him to one of the VSOs that specialize in that stuff and getting things through the disability pipeline. Regarding his other question, though, again, I think it comes down to choosing how to take care of yourself. That's one of the reasons why we feel so strongly about community care and access to, if you like your doctor down the street, you ought to be able to use that one. You shouldn't have your choices limited just because you earned your health care with, blood and sweat and time away from your family.
So when the VA takes on programs like extending health care to private practice and offshooting it to them, that's something that you can support?
Oh, yeah, so community care is what we call it, right? And so the original idea behind community care was because you had these tremendous wait times at VA. And so it said, okay, well, if the wait time is X or greater, then you should be able to go down the street to a community care provider, a private doctor in your community. That choice has been very popular for veterans, especially rural veterans, right? I mean, going up to Montana, we've had stories about veterans driving 4 hours just to go see their doctor. And that's not just, a lack of choice or these onerous pathways to get care. It's not just bad for that one appointment, right? It's also has a depressing effect on preventative care, right? If you have to go 4 hours each way, you're really going to go get your blood work done every year. If you don't feel actively sick, then you end up going to the doctor when you're very, very ill. Not just from a human dignity is right perspective, but also from a fiscal perspective too, having access to community care. Local doctors can often do it quicker and more efficiently.
We've set aside a line, like we've been telling you all morning, about a former military member from Kentucky joins us. This is Jerry. Jerry, hello.
Yes, good morning. My dad didn't make Korean War. He'd been in an accident. World War II, but he'd been in an accident. But I had a brother in Korea. I had another brother who served in sometime in the mid-60s, mid-50s, and then I was in there from 66 to 70. But that's not the reason I'm calling. I don't want no thanks or praise. The reason I'm calling is because I'm a 43-year volunteer fire department, and we of course train on in a rural department, so we have training on pretty much any situation because we're going to be the first on the scene. And as far as take paramedics, if you're a paramedic out there in the military, you are used to walking up on that scene, and you automatically know what to do. But for us, I was a jet engine specialist. I mean, I was a doctor for a jet engine. I don't have much experience there. So anything that I see, I have to run through all my training to figure out what to do. Now, the first 4 or 5 minutes on the scene is the most important time. But not just paramedics, any kind of military. If you're looking for something to help your community, think about your rural departments, because I think all your fire departments, because I think they would love to have you. Thank you for my time. Hope everyone have a blessed day. Thank you,
Jerry in Kentucky.
You as well, Jerry. Thank you for your service. I mean, I think, it's 1/3 roughly of the federal workforce are veterans. You also see veterans oversampled in police departments and fire departments. It's because fundamentally, when you start off your adult life with service, it really is hard to put that down. I mentioned earlier when I left active duty because of the reduction in force. That was 2011, 2012. Grew a freedom beard. Did not think I was gonna be back in the military again. I was they gave me 8 years of inactive reserve. Within 4, I was back on the active reserve list. Had to shave the beard. It's once you get a taste for service, it's hard to stop doing that.
Let's hear from Bob. Bob is our last call. He's in Virginia, independent line. Hi there.
Hi. I was listening to the veteran who called, who served on the destroyer earlier. And I think that he misses the point entirely of the large amount of American force that is being projected in the region. The point is to overthrow the government of Venezuela. There is a bounty on Maduro. We have already announced that Machado is our pick for the new ruler of Venezuela. Trump has made numerous public statements saying that Maduro has to go, and he will go. He's said that the CIA is on the ground. That's obvious. He's following the playbook of George H.W. Bush when he invaded Panama to get rid of a so-called narco-terrorist by the name of Noriega. He's doing exactly the same thing that Bush is doing. He's going to overthrow the government of Venezuela.
Okay. Bob, thanks.
Well, we don't know for sure that the CIA is on the ground yet, but would we, right? It's Maduro is a bad guy. I think that one of the troubling things in Venezuela right now is the fact that you do have drug cartels overlaid within their military, within their government, and so it's very blurry lines in terms of who's exactly doing what. But going back to the earlier part about realism and restraint involving Congress, I think it's just critical that we move past the shutdown business so that Congress can start having these conversations. I love the direction we're going with the 2026 National Defense Authorization Act, removing outdated war powers. It's long overdue. We still have more work to do there, but I think the direction that Congress is going, reclaiming some of their responsibility to talk about matters of war and peace, that's encouraging. I think it's a critical direction.
CV4A.org is the website for Concerned Veterans for America. John Vick serves as the executive director here on this Veterans Day, talking about veterans issues. Happy Veterans Day to you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, sir.